Sound to your mind.
Breathe. I stay quiet as I light on my loud light. Breathe. I balance diet, I'm just trying to get my pounds right. Breathe. I stay quiet as I light on my loud light. Breathe. I balance diet, I'm just trying to get my pounds right. Shouts all on my team, I need more than a mattress support. In my dreams, could grab a few Zeds like I'm falling asleep, but I don't wanna wake for the morning. Grief, breathe. Tears drop to the form in the sea. A broke heart, but it's worn in my sleeve. Never listened, I was warned in my teens, but I still skipped school, I was taught in the streets. Ring back, don't call for police. Stand tall, don't fall for the beast. Got issues with trust, so I'm born to believe. We've been a victim of love and now we're caught in it deep. Breathe.
The media campaign for Jude Bellingham starts right now. Guys, listen. Don't say I didn't tell you. Do not say I didn't tell you, because obviously watching that England-Japan game, you know what? I didn't even catch the full game, because when it comes to friendlies, I'm just not interested, you know, when it comes to England personally, because as we know, you know, as I've always said, when England play against decent teams, this is when you're really going to see what they're all about. And for me, I'll tell you what was good. Yeah, I'll tell you what was good. And this might go past a lot of people. Yeah, the very fact that England got beat by Japan is actually a positive, because what it does, yeah, it should put people's perspective. Yeah, it should keep it in check, because I guarantee you, yeah, the majority of fans that watch, the England fans that watched that game, would have said that England are gonna smoke Japan. And it just shows you, yeah, that even teams like Japan, yeah, you cannot take these teams for granted. You know what I mean? And the fact that you got Kaoru Matoma, you know, obviously he plays for Brighton, scoring the goal, boy, it just shows you, innit? And this is why I'm saying, yeah, it was a positive that Japan actually won the game, because the amount of people I've heard, you know, saying that England are going to win the World Cup. You know, I see some fans yesterday saying that they're going to beat Japan, no problem. And again, it just shows you, man, you can't be taking these teams for granted, you know. But all the talk is going to be about the players that weren't there, the likes of Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka, Reece James. Obviously, I'll mention Bellingham's name as well. So all the talk will be about those players not playing, which is why they got beat by Japan. But I'll tell you this now, as I said, when England play against the best teams, this is where England are going to be judged, you know, and this is what is going to bring me on nicely as well to what we're going to discuss today. Big up to everyone coming through. Big up to Christopher McGrath each and every time. Guys, make sure you're smashing the like button on your way through as well. And if you're new in here, make sure you sub to the channel, guys. Big up yourselves. Big up to my guy Fitz each and every time as well. Yeah, guys, get the likes in, and make sure you sub to the channel. And yeah, today's stream is going to be a good one. So we're going to go through, you know, a few things. Big up to Babs One Diva as well. Big up yourself. Big up to Foxy Danny each and every time as well. And Nishvan says it's Rodgers at 10. It has to be. Well, listen, this is what we're going to discuss. This is what we're going to discuss, because I'm looking forward to this one, because as I said, as you guys can see in the title, the media campaign for Bellingham starts now. And guys, when I'm saying the media campaign starts, do not be surprised, yeah, if I'm going to go as far and say now, yeah, if he stays injury free to the end of the season, then he'll be in the squad. He'll be in the squad, because the pressure from the media, you can already see it now. Yeah, even if you look at the end of the game, you had Ian Wright and you had, I can't remember who the other person was in the studio, and they're already doing their England 11 for the first game against Croatia, and they've got Bellingham in the 10. Even though Bellingham has been poor, yeah, he's been out injured, these guys are still trying to put him in a number 10 position for England. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. The media agenda to get Jude Bellingham starting for England is on its way, is underway right now. I promise you, because you can see how it's all going to work. Palmer can't play in a 10, given that ball away was criminal. 10s have to hold on to the ball in tight spaces. I agree. And this is why, doing strolls like this to break things down is what I enjoy doing, So, and again, we all get into the comparisons anyway, but big up yourselves, guys, each and every time. So listen, England's lineup yesterday, guys, it was a bit of a mixture of a change, good to see Mark Guehi getting the captain's armband. Was that a publicity stunt? Who knows? Can I see him getting the armband again? Boy, I'll be surprised. But obviously, I had Pickford in goal, who's going to be the number one for England come the World Cup. The back four, you had Konsa and Guehi. And again, Konsa and Guehi, for me, are going to be the two starting centre-backs come the first game. The only other defender that I would have said, would have been John Stones. But again, John Stones hasn't played. He spent most of his time out injured. So again, I don't expect him to be starting the first game. So I think Guehi and Konsa and Pickford in goal will be the starting three. Fullback for me is where it gets interesting, because it's going to be between Lewis Hall and Nico O'Reilly. Now, I like both players, but it depends. I think if you're looking for someone that can go into midfield, and obviously be comfortable in the ball, then it's Nico O'Reilly. But if you're looking for someone up and down that left-hand side, then it's Lewis Hall. So Thomas Tuchel's got a decision to make there. Right back for me, obviously Reece James is one of my favorite players. He's the best right back in the world, along with Hakimi. His thing is about staying fit, and again, if he's fit, there's no question that he's going to be at right back. But there is other players there that are, that are functional, that can play both sides. But Reece James will be the right back for me. If we just skip the midfield, because we go into that after, obviously Harry Kane's going to be the captain and the striker, no doubt. And then I believe the first game, Thomas Tuchel is going to start Bukayo Saka. Me personally, I wouldn't start Bukayo Saka, but Saka is going to start. It's obvious, and the fact that they got beat by Japan, I think there's going to be even more of a media push for the likes of Saka to be starting. Yeah. The left-hand side is going to be between Rashford and Anthony Gordon. I'm not sure who actually gets the nod at the moment, if I'm honest, because I think personally, Rashford over the last two games has had a decent impact. Anthony Gordon gives you the relentless work on that left-hand side. Obviously, Rashford is more experienced as well, but it just depends what Tuchel sees. But I think if we're looking at the first game, I'm looking at him playing Rashford. And I think the reason why he plays Rashford as well on that left-hand side is more for Harry Kane. Because as we know with Harry Kane needs legs around him. And if you've got someone with pace like a Rashford, even though Gordon has got pace, but I think Rashford's got a bit more pace, a bit more direct. He's probably going to go with Rashford for the first game, more for Harry Kane. But this is where it gets interesting for the midfield. I think I'm a massive fan of Kobe, yeah, and I think Kobe's one of them players, yeah, where he'll be in the squad for me, but I just don't believe that Tuchel is going to start him, because we all know Declan Rice is going to play, whether I agree with it or not. But Declan Rice is going to play because he's experienced, and obviously the media fanfare around Declan Rice, there's no way he's going to be on the bench, yeah. And even again, because England got beat yesterday by Japan, there's going to be even more of a clamour for Declan Rice to start the games. And alongside him, for me, is going to be Elliot Anderson. I actually do think Elliot Anderson is a very good player. Do I think he is as good as what is being made out to be? I'm going to say no. And the reason I say no is because England have a habit of doing this. You look at Gascoigne, Hoddle, Rooney, Shearer, Barkley, Wilshere, Owen, Kane, Bellingham, Foden. Now it's Elliot Anderson. So they have a long list, yeah. Saka you can throw in there as well. they have a long list of players that they always try to make as the number one. And as I said, Elliot Anderson, the footballer, yeah, he's a very good footballer, and I do rate him. And he's definitely going to start alongside Declan Rice. So I think that's what the midfield two is going to be. But that brings us on nicely to the number 10 position. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to hide away from the fact, yeah, that, again, any of you guys that have been watching my channel, yeah, you will know that I do not rate Jude Bellingham. I do not rate him. You know, nothing's going to change my mind. You know, I'm not going to go too much into it, but I don't rate Jude Bellingham. Yeah. But if I'm going to compare him to the other three players that I think are in contention, yeah, and again, we're going to go through the comparison stats as well, yeah. And I'm big up to Sapien Ball for saying what kind of role was Foden playing yesterday. We'll get into Phil Foden in a minute, yeah, because if you guys were here before, yeah, I already told you, yeah, about Phil Foden. But we'll get into him in a minute. Yeah, let's just get through the number 10s quickly, and I'll speak on that after. So again, you've got Jude Bellingham, you've got Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers, and you've got Eberechi Eze that will be vying for me for the number 10 position. Yeah. Now, if I had to pick one player to play that number 10 position based off what's available, I'm looking at between Eze and I'm looking at between Morgan Rogers. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. Yeah. For me, Cole Palmer, yeah. And I know someone mentioned it earlier saying that you can't, I think it was Niche Fan saying that Cole Palmer cannot play in the 10 because he can't lose the ball there. And I agree. And I think what you need to realize as well, yeah, someone like Cole Palmer, he is very adept at keeping the ball. So I'm not going to get onto Cole Palmer for losing the ball in that area because 9 times out of 10, Palmer does keep the ball. But what's happened with Palmer, yeah, is that Palmer's, for one, he's out of form. And for two, for me, he needs to be going back to play on the right-hand side. Because the way football is, and even though international football is a lot slower, yeah, but the way football is now, football is very much an athlete's game, yeah? So, and when I'm saying that, yeah, a player like Cole Palmer needs to be picking up the ball in spaces so he can use his touch and his technical ability to maneuver into positions rather than starting off in the central position. Because the central position is crowded and you'd probably need someone that's a bit more physical that can, you know, deal with the, you know, the hustle and bustle of that part of the pitch. Yeah. So for me, I would start Cole Palmer on the right-hand side and he'd be the starter for me in place of Bukayo Saka on that side for me. But the reason I've mentioned Cole Palmer is because obviously he played more as a number 10 yesterday. I know he was drifting out wide, but I think he might have started off as the 10 yesterday. But I'm looking at Palmer for me moving forwards, probably for club and for country. I think if you want to get the best out of him, especially in this era of football, which ain't his fault, but he needs to be operating on the right so he can pick up the ball in spaces and then do his thing from there. Because I think playing in the central positions, he's too crowded out. And again, Cole Palmer's he's not a physical player like that. So he needs space to work in. So I think personally, I can't see him, or I don't think he's going to thrive for England in the World Cup playing as a number 10. So I'd play Cole Palmer from the right-hand side ahead of Bukayo Saka for me. Yeah. And then we go on to Eberechi Eze. So Eze has played, I think, the majority of his career for England as a left winger. I think if Eze goes to the World Cup, and I think he's got a very good chance going to the World Cup, yeah, I think Eze has to be considered as a number 10 because the way that I think Thomas Tuchel wants to line up, he wants pure pace on the flanks, yeah, especially on that left-hand side, which is why you got Marcus Rashford and Anthony Gordon in contention, because those guys offer the pace. And again, the pace is going to help Harry Kane. So for me, if Eze does go, he has to be in contention for the number 10. You know, and as I said, I think with Eze is a 10 anyway. But when you've got certain names, or when it's overcrowded, the easy thing to do is to just push out a player like that onto the left-hand side. But I think for Eze, he needs to be considered as a 10. And I think what's different from Eze to a Cole Palmer is that Eze is more physical than Cole Palmer. So he can handle the hustle and bustle in that part of the pitch, you know, as well as ball carry as well. You know, he has got a very good strike in him, as what was evidenced against the against Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League. So for me, Eze has to be in contention for the 10. And then you've got Morgan Rogers. Now, what was interesting for me yesterday, yeah, and I don't think this is I don't think this is going to happen moving forwards, yeah. But it was very interesting to see that Thomas Tuchel deployed Morgan Rogers on the right-hand side. Is that because there was no Saka, no Madueke? You know, Bowen obviously actually came on as well and played on the right-hand side. Or was it that Tuchel was just trying something different? Because Morgan Rogers has played as the 10 lately for England, you know. But the fact that he lined up on the right-hand side, I think that was just Tuchel saying, you know, he sees Morgan Rogers starting for his team, but he's just trying to gather like what positions he can play on this in the right or the 10. And I think Thomas Tuchel is going to want a multifunctional player, which is why I think Rogers definitely has a chance of starting. And I actually think Rogers starts the first game as a number 10 for England against Croatia. And then it moves it on to guys, bear me 1 minute. 1 minute. Put my charger, 1 minute. Yeah, guys, apologies, man. I didn't put my charger on. Don't want the laptop just going off, do we? You know what I mean? But yes, as I said, so Jude Bellingham for me, you know, and I'll keep it consistent. Jude Bellingham cannot be starting for me as a number 10. Now, when I'm saying the media campaign is going to push for this, best believe it starts right now. Yeah. Now, when you look at Harry Kane, who's going to be the striker, yeah. Harry Kane needs legs in and around him, yeah, which is why I believe the players they're going to play out wide is going to be pace. So Saka, Rashford, I expect both of them come the first game to start. And that's not because both of them, for me, have to start the game. It's because it's more about Harry Kane. Yeah. Now, when you've got a number 10 in behind, because I actually probably think England might even go to a 3. Yeah. But if England go to a 3, you know, then maybe you might see Jude Bellingham come more into the conversation, because I've always said Jude Bellingham is a number 8, box to box number 8. Yeah. But England have been playing with a number 10 for a while now. And if you're looking at someone that can go beyond Harry Kane, you know, or drop into the pockets if Kane stays as the number 9, this is where it's going to be interesting, because if Thomas Tuchel wants Harry Kane to be the number 9 target man and not drop into the number 10 spaces, then you would need a number 10 that can get into the pockets like an Eze, like a Rogers, and you can utilize their skill and their striking ability. Yeah. If you want Harry Kane to drop in as a 10 and you need someone that's going to go beyond Harry Kane, this is where the likes of a Jude Bellingham comes into contention. So again, a lot of it is going to depend on what Tuchel wants from his number 9, Harry Kane. If I'm Thomas Tuchel, yeah, Harry Kane for me, we all know Harry Kane's is a top footballer. He's a playmaker, yeah. But Harry Kane for me needs to be staying right up the top as the target man, bringing other players into the game. And this is where you need a pure 10 to get into the pockets and just start creating, you know, or start ball carrying from there. And this is where I'm looking at Eze and Morgan Rogers for me. And this is why I'm trying to say to you, Jude Bellingham doesn't come into contention for that 10 if it means Harry Kane stays as the 9. He only more or less comes into contention if you're looking at someone to box crash, in a sense, yeah? And if you look at the number 10s that are on offer, he's the only box crashing midfielder. But box crashing for me is not a strength. It's not. It's just I look at it as chaos, really. You know what I mean? And this is what I'm trying to say to you, man. It depends what happens, what Tuchel wants from Harry Kane. But the media fanfare now, especially because England got beat, they're going to be driving this Bellingham number 10. And I promise you this now, yeah. From what they done in the studio yesterday as having the lineup of Saka, Bellingham, Rashford, and Kane, I promise you now, it's gonna fail. It's gonna fail. I'm telling you, because you cannot go with that four. You cannot go with that four. We've seen that four before, yeah, and it doesn't work because they're four players for me. Well, take away Harry Kane, should I say? The other three are massively overrated in Saka, Rashford, and Jude Bellingham. Yeah, but I guarantee you now, the pressure from the media and the pundits is going to force Bellingham into this 10 position. I just hope Thomas Tuchel sticks to his guns and plays what he thinks is right. And I'll tell you one thing as well, yeah, which is going to be key. If you look at Thomas Tuchel's pattern, yeah, of what he's been doing, yeah, he's been using players that have been figuring more recently. The fact that Jude Bellingham, yeah, hasn't played neither of the two games, and that's the last two games they're going to play until the squad's announced, yeah. How can you justify Jude Bellingham getting into this team? That's the truth. If Thomas Tuchel was true to his word and true to what he's been doing, then realistically, if you are going to bring Bellingham, he's nothing more of a bench player because he hasn't played the last two internationals. Even when he did play, he didn't play well, and Morgan Rogers was starting anyway. So how can you justify starting Bellingham? That's what I want to find out from Tuchel once this squad gets picked. Yeah. Let me go on to some of your questions, guys, before I go on to the comparisons as well with the players. And I'm glad Sapien Ball has said about Phil Foden. Guys, if you remember what I said, yeah, I can't remember what it was, yeah, but I mentioned this. Do not be surprised, yeah, if Phil Foden doesn't go to the World Cup. The media and the pundits are going to be pushing for Foden to go. And let's get it right, yeah. I rate Phil Foden as a footballer. But in a sad way, yeah, this era of football has kind of passed Phil Foden by. This era of football has passed him by. Because when I'm saying the game has become very much about, it's very much an athlete's game, Phil Foden is getting lost in that kind of space, really. Because the very fact now that Phil Foden is being used as a false nine, I can see why Tuchel wants to use him as a false nine, because it's more about Foden dropping into midfield, linking the play. But the problem is now, yeah, is that Phil Foden has gone from being a 10 to a right winger. I think he played a couple of games on the left as well. Now he's playing false nine. So basically, he's become a jack of all trades, but a master of none for England. And again, you're going to see the clamour for England to bring another striker to go with Harry Kane, which means if that's the case and they bring another striker, you can't include Phil Foden. Phil Foden has no place. Phil Foden, the footballer, has a place, but there's too many players, attacking players, that I believe Tuchel was going to pick ahead of Foden. So again, what kind of role was Foden playing yesterday? He was playing a false nine, but the way that I see it is that he was basically there because Harry Kane wasn't. And in a sense, you could either look at it saying Tuchel, in a way, is kind of using Foden. He's not going to want to admit that, obviously, but he's using Foden to see where he fits in. The very fact here that he's come off in 2 games, and again, Foden was injured in the first game, yeah, against Uruguay. But the very fact that he's come off in that game and then he come off in this game, I think that just tells you all you need to know, that Tuchel doesn't really rate Foden like that. Because if he rated Foden, he would have just played Foden straight as a number 10 or on the right. Because he could have played him on the right. There was no Saka. Yeah, but he played Morgan Rogers there. And then Foden plays false 9 and then comes off. So I think that's telling everyone that if you're looking at one big name attacker to be missing, it's going to be Foden. And I guarantee you, yeah, I'm saying you now, Foden's chances hinge here on England not taking another striker. Now, the media pressure will be to bring another striker to back up Harry Kane. Look at Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck should have been in this squad. He should have been. You know, Solanke obviously came on yesterday. Ollie Watkins is not in the squad. And Calvert-Lewin obviously played in the first game. Yeah. So there's going to be a media pressure for Tuchel to include another striker. And I think that's going to be at the expense of Phil Foden, unfortunately. So, yeah, you've heard it here first, guys. You've heard it here first. Let's go back into some of your questions. Guys, make sure we're smashing the likes as well. Make sure we're subbing to the channel. Pickford, James, Consaguehi, O'Reilly, Anderson, Mainu, Rogers, Rashford, Solanke, Madueke. Boy, that's a different team. I mean, it's not going to be the team, but yeah, I see it. But yeah, that's definitely not going to be the team. Harry Kane plays for me as well. So there's no Harry Kane there. So I don't know what's going on there. But Kane plays. And obviously Declan Rice will play under Tuchel. I've been saying this for the last 18 months that a 4-5-1 or even a 3-5-2 formation would benefit England more than a 4-3-3 due to the abundance of midfielders. Yeah, I hear it. And I think if you look at the fact that Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson are definitely going to start, yeah, for Tuchel to change the formation now wouldn't make sense. So England are going to go for me with the 4-2-3-1, and the number 10 position is what is going to be the talking point. I personally think the team that Tuchel is going to go with more or less picks itself. Harry Kane's going to play. Rice and Anderson are going to play. Mark Guehi's going to play. Pickford's going to be in goal. I think left back, he's got a choice to make. Right back, if Reece James is fit, he's going to play. I think Konza partners Guehi. So really and truly, the only positions you're looking at and I think he's going to play Saka as well, whether that's right or wrong. So the only positions you're really looking at that Tuchel might have a headache with is left wing and number 10. Because does he go with Rashford or Gordon? And the 10, does he go with Rogers, Eze, Palmer, or Bellingham? You know, and I think there's no Gibbs White, and Gibbs White was part of the squad as well. He's well and truly out of there. So that's one name that he hasn't got to deal with, really. Yeah, big up my guy, man. Big up yourself. Rogers is our best player. He has to be our 10. Rogers is the best player. I'm not sure Rogers is the best player. He's a very good player, but I think Rogers definitely I think definitely Rogers is going to be involved. He's definitely going to be on the plane for me. But the fact I'm looking at it, yeah, because I think Tuchel actually does like Rogers. And I think it was interesting to see him start Rogers on the right hand side. And I think that was just purely because he wants to give Rogers an opportunity to kind of see how he can do in other positions. Because Thomas Tuchel is going to be picking multifunctional players. And this is where the likes of Jude Bellingham is going to struggle. Because Jude Bellingham can only really play in one position, and he doesn't even play that position well, yeah? But he can only play one position in the system that I think Tuchel's going to play. And that's a box crashing number 10. That's it. You know, you can't play him on the left because he hasn't got feet like that. And I don't believe England are going to play him and England can't play him in the 2 because he's not good enough on the ball. So the only place he can play really is a box crashing number 10. But you've got other options there. So Yeah, but yeah, I think Rogers is definitely going to be involved. No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, they're already pushing Bellingham down our throats. But again, that was always going to happen. As soon as England lost that game, I watched the second half. I said, you watch the clamour for Bellingham now. Because if you check what they did, yeah, and again, do not be blinded by what the media and what this whole thing's about, yeah. When England were getting beat, they kept panning the camera to Harry Kane and to Jude Bellingham because they're looking at Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham as their saviors. They done the same thing in the last Euros. It was all about Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham, and they're doing the same thing. So they're trying to throw it in our faces, yeah, that Jude Bellingham needs to be in this team. And I guarantee you, you watch over the next if Bellingham stays fit, yeah, you watch over the next couple of months to the end of the season before the squad's announced. They're going to be trying to push it in our faces that the England lineup needs to consist of Jude Bellingham. Don't be fooled. I'm telling you. Eze isn't as good as Rodgers. I disagree. Rodgers has a mix of Seedorf and James Rodriguez. Boy, that's a new one to me, man. I mean, James was left-footed, but yeah, that's mad. James Rodriguez, I've never seen that one. Niche fan says he prefers Solanke over Kane. I'll be honest, man. That's a shock to me. Solanke over Kane. I mean, that's a wild one. I'll be honest. I wouldn't say Solanke over Kane any day of the week. I think in terms of what Solanke would probably offer, I kind of hear it because if Harry Kane's dropping deep, it kind of nullifies the number 10, which is why it's important to see what Tuchel's going to go with in terms of the striker. But if you're thinking of Solanke will stretch the defense a lot more. And I think that's probably what England will probably need. But this is why they're going to use Anthony Gordon and Rashford on the left wing, because they've got the legs. But I hear it with the Solanke thing. Me personally, I wouldn't swap Solanke for Kane. No way. Like, Harry Kane's going to play. We know that he's the captain. But it just depends how Tuchel sees him. Because I tell you now, if Kane starts dropping deep into the 10, then more or less, I can see him thinking, well, we need someone to run beyond Harry Kane. And the only player really that does that as a number 10 is Bellingham. But you can't play Bellingham can't start. I'm telling you, he can't start in this England team because playing him as a number 10 is an absolute disgrace. It is. It's an absolute disgrace. So let's see what happens, man. But when the squad gets picked, I'm looking forward to it. But between Foden and Bellingham, one of them will miss out. I promise you. One of them's definitely going to miss out. Ivan Toney should be back up if fit, as he's been playing in a super hot country. He will have massive energy reserves. Yeah, big up to Christopher McGrath. Listen, Ivan Toney should definitely be there, but because he's playing in Saudi, they're not going to pick him because they're going to use that excuse as a way of not picking Ivan Toney. You know what I mean? But I think Ivan Toney's days playing for England, I think are over now, unless he comes back to Europe. That's what I believe. Because Ivan Toney is a top striker, man. He is. But they're not going to pick Ivan Toney if he's playing in Saudi. That's the way they're going to see it, I believe. Danny Welbeck, for me, is the one that should be in contention. Have a look at Danny Welbeck's record for England as well. He's got a very good record for England. And he's having a very good season with Brighton. And he should be in there. But again, I don't believe that I don't believe Tuchel's gonna. I mean, I'm not sure if Tuchel takes him, because could you believe? Yeah, can you believe if Tuchel was to take a false 9 and not take another striker? You know, because I think as well, in Tuchel's mind, he might be looking at Anthony Gordon as someone that can play through the middle, if you want to look at pure pace. So that means that he might even more not want to bring another striker. But again, it's gonna be interesting to see what he does, man, because I think whatever he does is gonna draw backlash from the media or whoever, or from the fans. If Manu doesn't start, it's criminal. Listen, as much as I would like Kobbie Manu to start for England, he's not gonna start. He's gonna be on the bench if he goes. You can already see the way this England team is gearing up, you know, because where Kobbie's going to play for England is going to be as one of the two in midfield. And they've already chosen Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson. So there's no point even complaining. It's going to be those two in midfield. And the question mark's going to be who plays in the 10. That's what's going to happen. But if they was to play a midfield three, yeah, of Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson, and Jude Bellingham, it's not going to work against the best teams. It's not. It's just simply not going to work, because you've got two players in Bellingham and Declan Rice that are not good enough with the ball against the best teams. Yeah. And really, their strengths are without the ball in terms of their running. And you got Elliot Anderson, who is a good player, but he's inexperienced at the highest level. So if they was to play that free against the best teams, like a France, a Spain, a Brazil, an Argentina, a Portugal, let's say, they'll get found out. I promise you. But Declan Rice and Anderson will play, so that's the way they're going to go with it, you know. I swear Foden is on 99 GA in less than 200 games. Boy, probably. Listen, Phil Foden is a very good footballer, yeah? But the problem that Foden has, yeah, is that he's got, if you're looking at those attacking positions, yeah, the only position you're going to play Foden, because Foden can play as a false nine, but if you was to ask Foden where would he want to play, he would say in the number 10. The problem that Foden has is that he's got PR in Saka that's going to get picked. He's got Cole Palmer in terms of, who's this? Are they showing Dalman? Yeah, see again, they're trying to push the Dalman hype. Dalman come on and just scored a good goal against, is that Spain? No. Yeah, great goal to be fair. Yeah, they're gonna be pushing the Dalman hype as well, you know. But Dalman won't go but they're gonna be pushing Dalman to come through, man. I'm telling you. But again, you look at Foden, yeah. Foden has Bukayo Saka ahead of him. Yeah. He has in terms of the PR. Then you've got Jude Bellingham to contend with the PR. And then you've got players like Rodgers, who's been consistently playing for Aston Villa. You know, you've got players like Cole Palmer, who has more or less surpassed him in terms of standing in the game, you would say. So he's got to contend with all that. This is why I'm telling you, the fact that Tuchel's playing him as a false nine, Tuchel's not playing him there by accident. It's because I can tell you Tuchel doesn't see him as a realistic option for the right or for the 10, even with players not playing. Yeah, multifunctional players he's going to play 100%. Gav, look at Sterling treatment while Kane was themed Starboy. Sterling was branded a thug. Yeah, listen, but again, Fitz, yeah, we all know what happens within the media in this country. We know what it is. I've not really got a touch on it. It's the same thing we mentioned with Andy Cole. Same sort of thing with Raheem Sterling. If people are not clocked onto that, then that's their problem, innit? But we know what it is, man. Big up to Babs One Diva with the super sticker. Big up yourself. Like you said, Kane drops deep and nullifies the 10. I'd rather have a 9 staying up high and stretching the defense. Kane may as well be the 10. Yeah, exactly, niche fan. Exactly. Like, but this is why this is what makes me laugh, yeah, because when Harry Kane drops deep, yeah, he might as well play as the 10. Yeah. But that's not gonna happen because Harry Kane's got number 9 on his back, and they're looking at Harry Kane as Alan Shearer. So they're not gonna risk dropping playing Harry Kane as a number 10 to play another striker. That's the issue. And then if you think of it like this, you play Harry Kane as the 10, that means you've got the likes of Rodgers, Bellingham, Palmer, Eze. They're all redundant if Kane does play there. But this is where the multifunctional comes into it, because out of all them players, if Kane was to play as the 10, you've got Eze, Cole Palmer, and Morgan Rodgers. They're all more multifunctional than what Bellingham is. But they're not going to do that. They're going to play Kane as the 9 and let them guys battle it out for 10, which is why the media fanfare to push Bellingham as the 10 is going to be there. Trust me, man. You have to work out what's going on here. I'm telling you. You have to work it out, man. It's just too obvious what they're doing. But yeah, big up for the comment, man, because yeah, Kane should be playing as a 10. But if he plays as the 9 and stays up, then as I said, you've got more options for the number 10 in terms of what that number 10 needs to offer. Foden defo for wing play. Just don't think Gordon has enough for the 10 role. Eze over Gordon for the 10. Yeah, Gordon's not going to play in the 10. Gordon's not a 10 anyway. Like, Gordon's only going to play as a left winger. And he showed for Newcastle this season that he can play through the middle. So this is why Gordon, for me, is definitely going to go, because I think Tuchel was going to want multifunctional players. And Gordon has already shown that he can play both positions. Yeah. Eze can play on the left and as a 10. You know, Foden can play all over the place. But if you're looking at one player to be sacrificed to get in other players, I think it's going to be Foden to be sacrificed. You know, you never know. It could actually come down to Foden or Bellingham that gets left out. You never know. Right, let's go on to the comparison, guys. Yeah. So let's compare the players for the number 10. So again, I've put in there, yeah. Sorry, bear me 1 minute. So yeah, I've actually put in there Phil Foden. And the reason I put Phil Foden in there is because again, Foden is a number 10, but I've added Foden there because I just personally think that it's good to do the comparison, but I don't think Foden has any chance of not only playing in the 10, but even going to the World Cup. Yeah. So this is based on the current seasons. Yeah. So you got Jude Bellingham, you've got Cole Palmer, you've got Eberechi Eze, you've got Morgan Rodgers, and you've got Phil Foden. Yeah. Now, the reason I mentioned the multifunctional players, yeah, and this is why I think Tuchel will go with the multifunctional over someone that just plays in one position. Palmer, Eze, Rodgers, and Foden all have played as a number 10 and out wide as well. So this for me is what makes it more appealing in my eyes as to what Tuchel might go with. Yeah. Whereas Bellingham's only played as like a number 8 come number 10 for Real Madrid. Yeah. Now, if we go through the appearances, obviously Cole Palmer has been out injured. Yeah. He has been out injured. So again, he's got the less appearances, really. Yeah. But Jude Bellingham has been out injured lately as well. But Bellingham's got 29 appearances for Real Madrid this season, 6 goals, 4 assists, 30 chances created, successful dribbles, 23. Yeah. Now, again, chances created, guys, just for anyone that doesn't understand how chances created are done in this era of football. Yeah. Now, you can't really judge again because someone like Benham doesn't take free kicks or corners. Yeah. But he's got 30 chances created. Now, a lot of the chances created, especially in this era of football, is if you're on a set piece, no matter how bad the ball is, yeah, if one of your teammates gets their head or foot to the ball, that gets counted as a chance created. So again, the chance created are not really a true reflection. So we can't really compare that, but we're just going to go off the numbers anyway. So again, Jude Bellingham, 29 appearances, 6 goals, 4 assists, chances created 30, successful dribbles 23. Cole Palmer, 25 appearances, 10 goals, 3 assists, 19 chances created, 23 successful dribbles. Eberechi Eze, 43 appearances, 9 goals, 6 assists, 13 chances created, 40 successful dribbles. Morgan Rogers, 52 appearances, 10 goals, 8 assists, 40 chances created, successful dribbles 34. And then you've got Phil Foden, 41 appearances, 10 goals, 3 assists, 58 chances created, and 39 dribbles, successful dribbles, yeah? So again, if we want to go from what the number 10 needs to offer, yeah? If we look at the goals, for instance, you've got Cole Palmer, you've got Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers, Phil Foden, all have 10 goals in the Premier League this season. Eberechi Eze has 9, Jude Bellingham has 6. Yeah. Now, why this is important, yeah? Let's face it as well. You've got Cole Palmer, who is Chelsea's penalty taker. So I'm not sure how many penalties he's scored, but his numbers, if we're taking away the penalties, and again, this is fair for me to do this, yeah, because if I'm someone that doesn't rate Bruno Fernandes, yeah, because a lot of these things are from set pieces and he scores and he does score penalties. For me, it's only right to keep the conversation consistent. So I'm not sure if anyone knows how many penalties Palmer has scored this season. Please do put it in the chat, and then we can give a true reflection of that. Yeah. So again, Palmer, Rogers, and Foden have all got 10 goals. Eze's got 9. Bellingham's got 6. So again, if we're looking at it for goals wise, in what Tuchel might look at, you would have to say that the likes of Jude Bellingham, yeah, and again, people are going to say he's been injured, but so has Cole Palmer, yeah. So the likes of Jude Bellingham, is it right that he gets into the England lineup based off of goals? You'd have to say no. You'd have to say no, yeah. And again, yeah, like if you look at Jude Bellingham's career since he's burst onto the scene, he has only had yeah, one season where you could say that he has had a good goal scoring season, but there was a reason for that, which I've explained plenty of times. Yeah. So Fitz is saying that Palmer's had 5 penalties again. So let's take off the 10 goals and make it 5 goals for Cole Palmer, which ranks him lower than Jude Bellingham. Again, for me, Cole Palmer needs to be playing on the right-hand side anyway. Yeah. I think he's more adept in this sort of era of football to be playing out wide to pick up the ball and use his ability like that. So he's got 5 pens and 3 free kicks. Okay, so take out the pens, he's got 5 goals. Yeah, from open play. So again, the leading contenders there are Morgan Rogers, Phil Foden, and you'd put Eze in there because he's got 1 less. If we're going on to the assists, yeah. Now, again, the assists, yeah. Number 10s throughout the years have been very high on creativity and assists. And this is why I'm telling you, yeah, that it depends what Thomas Tuchel sees in his number 10. Does he want a number 10 to run beyond Harry Kane? Or does he want Harry Kane to stay up there as a number 9 and let the number 10 drop deep and create from deep. Now, the most talented player out of all them players in that list there, in terms of ability to play as a number 10, you're probably looking at Eberechi Eze in terms of his physicality and his ability on the ball. Yeah, so this is why I'm saying Eze and Rodgers for that position are in contention, because I think Foden and Palmer, through no fault of their own, are probably better in the wider positions because the way the game's gone. That's the truth. But look at the assists. Bellingham's got 4, Palmer's got 3, Eze's got 6, Rodgers has 8, Foden has 3. So again, Morgan Rodgers top stat. Yes, he has played the more games, but Cole Palmer's played the least amount of games. You know, Foden's only got 3 assists, which is shocking and quite poor. Eze has 6 from 43. Bellingham has 4 from 29. So again, if we're looking at the assists, yeah, they're all very low when you actually think about it from all 5 of them players. Yeah. And as I said, you've got Morgan Rodgers leading that. And it's more of a comparison to look at Jude Bellingham for this season. Should Jude Bellingham be getting into the number 10 position for England? Based off the goals and assists, you will say no. Yeah. And again, I'm using the goals and assists because if we're looking at, you know, the actual footballer, he gets nowhere near the number 10 position. So this is why I'm going on to the numbers. And the numbers prove from this season that he doesn't get nowhere near it either. Yeah. Then we go chances created. Again, as I've already said, chances created, you know, it's not really a true reflection because we don't know what these chances that are being created are. 30 chances created for Bellingham, 19 for Palmer, 13 for Eze, which is low. But again, the fact Eze's ones are low, yeah, I think that just shows you how Arsenal play. Because if he's that low, playing as a number 10, that's an indication as to how Arsenal have been playing this season. Morgan Rodgers, 40 chances created. Phil Foden, 58. So again, Foden's topping it for chances created. Second place is Morgan Rodgers. Those guys there are by far and ahead. Bellingham has 30, Palmer and Eze 19 and 13 respectively. Yeah. So again, does Jude Bellingham get in there for his chances created? You'd have to say no. And again, chances created, what are these chances? We just don't know. Yeah. Then we go on to successful dribbles. Yeah. Again, being able to dribble from the center of the pitch is key to breaking lines from that position. Yeah. Now, I remember people telling me, yeah, that Jude Bellingham is a great dribbler. And that what that tells me there, yeah, is that I don't think people deep what a dribbler is. Because I'll give you some dribblers. Lionel Messi, Neymar, Eden Hazard, Ronaldinho, Robinho, Frank Ribery, Arjen Robben. You know, they're just a few. Anthony Martial. They're just a few players that are dribblers. Riyad Mahrez. They're what you call real dribblers. Yeah. Now, again, if you're a dribbler, yeah, the most important thing about dribbling is keeping the ball close to your feet. Yeah. The way Jude Bellingham dribbles, yeah, his thing is built off of power and hard work, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. He's not a intricate dribbler with the ball. Never has been, never will. Yeah. But there's people out there that think he's a good dribbler. Again, I like to see what dribblers that they've seen. Maradona's another one. Forgot to mention. Zidane. Like, there's so many top dribblers out there. When people say that Bellingham's a dribbler, I can't take it seriously. Yeah. Now, if we're going for the stats of dribbling, Bellingham, 23. Cole Palmer, 23. Eze, 40. Morgan Rodgers, 34. Foden, 39. So again, the best dribbler, which for me isn't really a surprise, is Eberechi Eze at 40. Yeah. And this I'm trying to tell you, yeah, if you've got someone that can break the lines from their dribbling, which requires finesse, it requires technique, it requires, you know, having the ball close to your feet, Eze, Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers, Phil Foden are all adepts at doing that. And that's kind of evidenced by the stats that I'm reading now, because Burnham's joint last with Cole Palmer. And the reason he's joint with Cole Palmer is because Cole Palmer's actually played less games. Yeah? Because I guarantee you, if Cole Palmer played more games, then his numbers of dribbling will be there. Yeah, guys, don't worry, man. I've got more stats to check. Don't worry about that. We are just dissecting why Burnham really shouldn't be considered as the number 10, but the media hype, the media campaign is going to be for him to be starting. Yeah. So again, just going on the goals, the assists, the chances created, and successful dribbles. Yeah. There's no way that Jude Bellingham can be or should be starting in the number 10 position come the World Cup. Yeah. Not to mention, Jude Bellingham, the player, is not a better footballer than any of them four in the screen. Facts. Yeah. So who dominates the goals? It's a tie between Palmer, Rogers, and, well, I'll take Palmer out of there because obviously the 5 penalties are in there. But Rogers and Foden both got 10 goals. The assists, Morgan Rogers. Chances created, Phil Foden. And successful dribbles, Eberechi Eze. Which is why I'm saying, yeah, I'm a massive fan of Cole Palmer, but Palmer's been out, has played the least amount of games, and Palmer needs to be playing as a right winger for me for England. But this is why I'm saying in contention for the number 10 has to be between Morgan Rogers and Eberechi Eze. Yeah. Let's move on to career league stats. Yeah. And guys, I will go back to your questions and comments after this one. Just keep them coming through. Again, this is all the career stats from all 5 players. Yeah. Jude Bellingham, 172 appearances, 34 goals, 33 assists. Cole Palmer, 109 appearances, 46 goals, 21 assists. Eberechi Eze, 298 appearances, 52 goals, 37 assists. Morgan Rogers, 145 appearances, 28 goals, 23 assists. Phil Foden, 192 appearances, 68 goals, 31 assists. Yeah, those are the career stats for all 5 players. So what that tells you there, yeah, is that if we're looking at goals, you're looking at Phil Foden. Assists, you're looking at Eze, yeah, of 37. Again, Eze's played 298 appearances, so it probably might be a bit unfair to say Eze, yeah? But across the board, who has the more consistent numbers for appearances, yeah? You'd probably say Phil Foden actually edges that, yeah? But again, not one of these players you are looking at as being, you know, a player that just gets pure numbers. Yeah. Yeah. So, sorry, I was reading something. So again, if you're looking at numbers, they're all quite similar, really. But there's no one there really that I would say has outstanding numbers, which again is a good thing, because there's too many players in this era of football as a number 10 as well, especially that just get rated off of numbers. Yeah. The number 10 position was never designed, yeah, for that player to just be hyped up because of numbers. It never was. Yeah. And again, you go and look at the list of number 10s that used to play the game. Go and have a look at their numbers. There was no obscene numbers from any of them. And the reason I bring this up, yeah, is because when the media push for Bellingham comes, yeah, what are we basing it off? Are we basing it off the ability? Because he's not more talented than any of them 4 players. Are we basing it off the numbers? Because his numbers are not better really than any of them. Yeah. So it's going to come down to media pressure. And this is why I'm doing this stream about the media campaign for Bellingham starts. But I don't want people to be blinded, yeah, as to think that Bellingham has the right to be playing as a number 10 because all the metrics point to him, because it doesn't. Yeah. So again, let's move on. Actually, wait, let me get back to some of your questions first before we do that. Guys, make sure you're smashing the likes as well if you're enjoying the content, and make sure you sub to the channel if you're new in here as well. Big up yourselves. Spare me 1 minute. Right, so let me see. So Jude Bellingham plays deeper than Palmer. Again, that's not true. And I'll tell you why that's not true, yeah? Because Jude Bellingham in a two in midfield cannot play as a number 6. He can't. He hasn't got the ability to play as a number 6 because the number 6 position requires you to be very good on the ball. Yeah. So where England are going to play Jude Bellingham is what is the number 10 position. He's not a number 10, he's a number 8. But if you're playing a 4-3-3, then Jude Bellingham figures more in the 4-3-3 because he can play as a box-to-box midfielder. But the only position he can probably fill in where Thomas Tuchel sets this team up is as a number 10. Yeah. And obviously Cole Palmer is playing as a 10 or on the right. So he's not, so Jude Bellingham's not playing deeper than Palmer for England. He's not. He's just simply not. They're both vying for the same position. I still like Eze for this. He has the ability to link up the attack well and can score from anywhere. Yeah, Eze for me is a good player. I think he made the wrong mistake going to Arsenal because the way Arsenal play is not nullifying his strengths really. But he has got individual ability. And again, international football, you know, you need to be an individual, really. And players like Eze, Palmer, Morgan Rogers, and Foden, these guys are all individuals, you know, whereas Jude Bellingham is more of a system player. This is where it's key as well. Yeah. Moving on. Let's see. All right, listen, Titanium, you're speaking my language, man. International superstar soccer. But you forgot one word, pro. International superstar soccer pro. Guys, if you're from that era of international superstar soccer pro, give me a thumbs up and let me know what you thought of that game. Because let me tell you this now, yeah, those were the days of playing the football games. Because if you know as well, international superstar soccer pro then became Pro Evo. Let me tell you now, if you're from that era, put your thumbs up, man, in the chat. Because listen, those were the games, man. Those were the games. Alfie Hudson says, I love Phil Foden. He's my favorite player. I hear it. I hear it. Big up. I think he might be disappointed this summer, though. I don't think he's going to go to the World Cup. Gordon was bad yesterday. Yeah, but again, Anthony Gordon, he's like one of them players. Like he is what he is. You know what I mean? He's gonna give you hard work. He's gonna give you legs in behind. But again, he's not someone that I'm looking at thinking he has to start. You know what I mean? Nowhere near it, man. But he's a decent player. Let's go through this. Good trip down memory lane. Yeah, listen, man. Pro Evo, International Superstar Soccer Pro, man. Those were the games, I'm telling you. Right, let's move it on. Let's go on to international. Yeah. And the very fact I'm seeing Bellingham with 10 on his back there makes me want to cry. Yeah, it makes me want to cry. Now, the reason why this is interesting, yeah, because someone in the chat said, yeah, show Bellingham's international stats, yeah, as if like it's a positive, by the way. Yeah. Now, Jude Bellingham, yeah, 46 caps for England, 6 goals and 10 assists. Cole Palmer, 14 caps, 2 goals, 1 assist. Eberechi Eze, 16 caps, 3 goals, 0 assists. Morgan Rogers, 12 caps, 1 goal, 0 assists. Phil Foden, 48 caps, 4 goals, and 10 assists. Yeah. Now, what I want to draw to this year is that this is where simple-minded fans, yeah, and I mean that with respect, simple-minded fans will say to you, "Oh, look at Bellingham's stats. He's got better stats than anyone on this list." Yeah, that's just very simple-minded to say that, yeah, because the reason, if you look at him and Phil Foden, yeah, is there any surprise why their stats look the best out of Palmer, Eze, and Rogers? Well, look at the caps, for instance. 46 and 48 caps, and the highest is Eze at 16. Not to mention, yeah, how many starts has Palmer, Eze, and Rogers actually had? Again, if anyone's in the chat right now, yeah, let me know Palmer, Eze, and Rogers' starts for England in comparison to Bellingham and Foden. Because 16 GA, if they want to call it that, in 46 caps, is that great? 14 GA in 48 caps, do we think that's good? You know? So again, there's always context to things like this rather than, people running away with stuff. 6 goals and 10 assists in 46 caps is not great. Because if you factor into it as well, yeah, how many 90 minutes has Bellingham played? If we're being honest, how many has he played? Because I can guarantee you, Eze and Palmer especially, yeah, the majority of them caps there have been from the bench. So Rogers has 12 caps. Yeah, titanium. How many, do you know how many starts Rogers has had? Because that way we can kind of compare it with Bellingham and Foden. Guys, let me know in the chat, man. Palmer, Eze, and Rogers, how many starts these guys have had? And then let me know how many starts Foden and Bellingham have had. Yeah, cool, bro. Mods, try and see if you can find me the stats for how many starts Bellingham, Palmer, Eze, Rogers, and Foden have had for England. So who's had probably 4 titanium? Who's had 4? Who's had 4 starts? Because again, putting this into context, right, guys, we are going to wrap this up in about 20 minutes. Okay, so again, if you can find me the actual starts for those players. And guys, while we're waiting for that, yeah, make sure you're smashing the like button. Make sure you're subbing to the channel. Yeah. So again, big up to Fitz. So Cole Palmer's had 5 starts. Morgan Rogers has had 7 starts. Yeah. So again, if we're looking at it like that, yeah, it's kind of unfair to be saying that Bellingham has better numbers for England in comparison to him having 46 caps. And you've got Rogers, who started 7 games, Palmer, who started 5. So again, doesn't really give a true reflection. Eze, Foden, and Bellingham, Fitch, yeah, when you're ready, bro. Let me know how many starts, because you can kind of see how it kind of pans out. So I guarantee you this, yeah, Jude Bellingham has over 30 starts for England. So if he's got over 30 starts and more or less plays 90 minutes, we shouldn't really be surprised if his numbers look a bit better than the others. So Bellingham started 35 games for England, yeah? Is that right? Can anyone confirm that? He started 35 games for England. Cool. Big up Fitz, man. So look, guys, here you have it, yeah? Eze has 4 starts for England. Palmer has 5. Rogers has 7. Foden has 33. Bellingham has 35. There you have it, yeah? So again, if we're looking at the fact that Bellingham and Foden have got the better GA, if you want to call it that, yeah, they've started twice as many games as all the others. So it's not really a true reflection. And again, if we're looking at that number 10 position, it shouldn't be solely down to GA. It should be down to what are they going to provide in that position in reference to what Harry Kane is. Again, if you need someone that wants to go into the half spaces, you know, get shots off, you know, dribble from deep, and connect, Palmer, Eze, Rogers, and Foden are more adept at that. If you want a box crashing sort of number 10, then that's when Bellingham comes into contention. But again, a lot of it depends on what Harry Kane's position is going to be. You know, for me, I think Harry Kane should not drop deep because it nullifies the number 10. And then in that sense, you've got an Eze and a Rogers that will come into contention for that position. You know, because I think Foden and Palmer will probably be better from out wide, you know. Let's move it on. Last one. So guys, this is in total, yeah. Club career in all comps. Yeah. So you've got Jude Bellingham, 305 appearances, 72 goals, 59 assists. Cole Palmer, 163 appearances, 59 goals, 34 assists. Eberechi Eze, 342 appearances, 73 goals, 48 assists. 233 appearances for Morgan Rogers, 51 goals, 47 assists. Phil Foden, 365 appearances, 108 goals, 65 assists. So guys, I'm going to let you guys work this out, yeah? Let me know in the chat, just based off the whole career appearances, who has the better goals and assists combined for appearances. Because the reason I'm doing this, yeah, is because I want to break down the narrative of why the clamour for Jude Bellingham to be in England's lineup. Because it's going to come from the media, but I like to give an insight as to what are we going to base this on? Are we going to base this on the numbers, the ability, yeah? Or is it going to come down to PR? So me reckons Palmer. So Palmer has the best, yeah? And again, let's not forget, yeah? There is penalties in there for Cole Palmer. So we have to be fair. There is penalties in there, whereas the others are not penalty takers. So we have to be fair. But judging by that, who has the better numbers, guys? Let me know. Yeah, make your mind up. Jude or Foden? Who are you going with? So in comparison to appearances for goals and assists, who has the best? Palmer, if he stays on track, he surpasses Foden. And that's exactly what I was thinking. Because if you look at, and again, guys, Cole Palmer does have penalties in there, yeah? But we can only really go off the numbers here, yeah? So based on that, yeah, you're looking at, for appearances and goals and assists, Palmer more or less has the best, you would say. But again, Phil Foden has made the most appearances. So his ones look better. So Titanium reckons Phil Foden. But again, you got to factor in that Foden's played 365 games, which is double the amount of Cole Palmer. Yeah, big up, man. Big up for coming through. So again, just reading off this, guys, we're looking at realistically, in terms of the numbers, you know, Cole Palmer, you would say, in relation to the appearances, has the better numbers if we're comparing them all together. Yeah, for appearances as well. So again, let's take it off the screen. So guys, again, yeah, this is why we have to look at does Jude Bellingham warrant a place for England? Not only yeah, in the lineup here, but at the World Cup in general. Does he warrant a place? Not for me. Not for me. Because if England are going to take multifunctional players, he's not multifunctional. For England, he can only play in one position. If England are going to take a number 10, yeah, then you've got number 10s that really have performed either better in terms of numbers this season. I know he's been out injured, or just are better at connecting in terms of the midfield and the attack over him. But most importantly, it's going to come down to what Thomas Tuchel sees in what his number 10 he wants to have, really. You know, as I said to you before, a lot of it's going to be based around Harry Kane. You know, does Harry Kane drop deep? Does Harry Kane play as a target man number 9? And I think that will determine what number 10 he goes with for me. But all I'm trying to say to you guys right now, yeah, is and I'm glad this comments come up, yeah. I'm glad this comments come up. All I'm saying to you guys, yeah, is do not be surprised if, well, do not be surprised over the next couple of months. There's going to be a massive clamour for Jude Bellingham to not only be in the squad, but to be starting. And how can he start for England based off what I've just shown you guys? Not to mention what the number 10s need to have, he doesn't possess. So again, just be aware of that, yeah? Now, he can play false 9 like 23, 24. And I'm glad you come out with this, yeah? Now, the only reason people think Jude Bellingham can play as a false 9 is because of what happened at Real Madrid, yeah? Now, you need to realize, yeah, when he played as the most advanced midfielder come false 9 for Real Madrid, there's a reason he got numbers, yeah? And I've mentioned this so many times. There's a reason why his numbers have dropped as well. Kylian Mbappe. Because Kylian Mbappe is now the striker that there wasn't when Bellingham was playing as the false 9 come most advanced midfielder. Because Jude Bellingham was the one that was tasked with getting numbers. That wasn't because Jude Bellingham was that good. It was just that Jude Bellingham was the beneficiary of how the team set up. He had Modric, he had Chouameni, Camavinga, Toni Kroos, Valverde. They were all behind him in the midfield, where he was allowed to box crash when they had the split strikers in Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, which is why he got numbers. Yeah. But you shouldn't really be looking at that as that's what Bellingham's all about. Because go and look at the history of Bellingham, how many goals he's generally scored in a season. It's not high. Yeah. So there was a reason why he got those numbers. And at the time, you could tell fans were getting excited. And this is what got Jude Bellingham the clamour. Oh, Bellingham scores goals. All of a sudden, you bring a striker in that is going to occupy the positions that he was taking up. And all of a sudden, his numbers drop. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that would have happened? I mean, I could have told you that easily. But again, it was the clamour from the media to think that Jude Bellingham was that kind of guy. Yeah. And as I said, Jude Bellingham so far in his career hasn't shown, apart from a one-off season, that he consistently gets numbers. It's a fact. So to say that he can play as a false nine, he's not going to play as a false nine because the system at England compared to Real Madrid is different. Real Madrid have a lot better midfielders than what England have. Yeah. And it's club football as well. This is international football. So he's not going to play a false nine if it means not playing Harry Kane. That's not going to happen. So again, man, it's mad. It's mad, you know. But guys, listen up. I'm going to wrap it up anyway because I got to shoot out. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments after the stream's ended. Make sure you sub to the channel as well if you're new in here. Make sure you smash the like button, guys, on your way out. And as I said, share the channel, guys, on all your social medias if you can for me as well. And again, those of you that were here for yesterday for the stream, big up yourselves as well. And also for the one that we done in reference to Andy Cole. So yeah, I will be putting some clips out on the chat with Andy Cole some point over the next couple of days. And obviously we're gonna try and get it out to Coley, man, and give him his flowers because he definitely deserves them. But other than that, guys, yeah, big up to yourselves each and every time. We will be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. with myself and Fitz to do our all-time 11 that we've been doing weekly. Obviously, we're moving on to Barcelona. Now, this one, guys, is going to be tough to do because the amount of quality that team have, man, in both eras, it's going to be hard to do, man, in terms of picking a formation and what players we actually go with. Yeah. So again, if there's anyone that wants to jump onto that stream, let me know in the comments, and it'll be good, man, to get another voice on there as well as we discuss the Barcelona all-time 11. And as I said, man, it's we're going to be doing from the majority of the vote. It's going to be 2008 to 2017, and then we'll definitely do the 96 to 2008 as well, because there's just some top players, man, in both eras, man. It's difficult to kind of get a team there, but obviously that's what we're going to do anyway. Yeah, big up, man. Big up Babs One Diva as well. Big up yourself. Yeah, no worries, Fitz, man. No worries, bro. What do you think about France? Yeah, France will be one of the favorites. They'll definitely be one of the favorites. You know, look at their attack, man. They've got some special players in attack. Elise, you know, Ryan Cherky. You've got Mbappe there, Ekatike, Ousmane Dembele. They've got some serious firepower. The one problem with France for me is going to be Didier Deschamps, because Didier Deschamps has a fascination with Adrien Rabiot. And Rabiot's a good player, yeah. But Eduardo Camavinga should be getting more game time. He needs to be, you know, because I want to see a midfield of Camavinga, Chouameni in there, you know. But they've got a very strong squad, man. You know, I'd love to have seen Paul Pogba back there as well, but that looks like that's not going to happen because he can't prove his fitness. But France will definitely be one of the front runners, along with, for me, Spain, Brazil, Argentina. I've always said them four will be in contention to win the trophy. But who knows, man? It could be a surprise. And that's why this World Cup for me is going to be interesting. So I'm looking forward to it. And again, I'll be doing a lot of watch-alongs, guys, for some of the games. So again, make sure you guys come through. Yeah, Brazil Croatia played, I believe, last night, one in the morning, or early this morning, should I say? So yeah, we'll see what happens, man. But guys, big up yourselves each and every time. Smash the like, sub to the channel, share the channel on all your socials as well. And yeah, make sure you catch us tomorrow at 8 p.m. for our usual stream for the all-time 11. Big up to Lumi Rain, just come in. Big up yourself. And yeah, guys, I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.